Hi folks, you're with Tacitus Debate, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about an incident that sort of came up recently. It's about a guy who's been forced to pay child support for a kid that he knows absolutely nothing about and couldn't possibly be a kid that he had any genetic association with. So he kept fairly sort of good records and even recorded conversations with the officers from the child support authorities and so on. It makes for very scary sort of reading and listening, and so I guess we need to understand the people in this area, practicing this form of, I'm not even sure you call it law, but they're consumed with notions of social equity. Most are very angry, men-hating lesbians. Very few do not have a gender studies degree. Most of them are very damaged people. They're convinced that the family is an evil, bad thing, and the straight white males are all Hitler, all the cause of all the problems. So they're starting from an incredibly prejudicial standpoint, but they practice something called social equity law, which is really creeping into pretty much every aspect of legal practice in the West now, and politicians don't oppose it. The globalists want it because it disrupts and degrades and undermines society, destroys confidence in our institutions, destroys social trust, and all the things that the globalists want and that they're pushing for. And of course, given they own our politicians and the media, they can get away with it, and none of these things are really scrutinized or criticized by either our body politic or the media, who are really our people that are there to serve us and protect standards and protect the law and the sanctity of the law. But all that's going out the window. So what the basic thrust of it is this: that this guy, he's a straight white male. He gets a letter and says that you might be the biological contributor to a birth and birth of a child. So if that's the case, you have to pay child support, and he looks at it and based on the information that was there, he realizes that it couldn't possibly be him because if it's the woman he suspects it is, they met in like second year college, or she came with some friends to a party at the end of year college party. So the child was born 3 years after he last saw this woman, so it couldn't possibly have been him. Now he assumed, I think as many who are sort of uninitiated do, that if the government is going to take any action against him, they have to have proof. They have to have evidence, facts that they have to present in a court of law. That was his assumption. So he looks and says, well, it couldn't possibly be me, he says, and so that was years before, and so just simple mathematics and so on. It just couldn't be anything to do with him. So he forgets about it. Next thing you know, he goes to the bank to transfer some money or get some money out of the hole in the wall, and there's nothing there. You go, what? So he goes through the very stressful rigmarole, which takes a long time, because the banks don't have to tell you that the child support agency's just taken, or the alimony agency, whatever they're called in various jurisdictions, has just wiped his bank account clean on the basis that he owes this child support. So anyway, he finds out, and finally he gets to the bottom of it. So he then has to, now they can take as much money as they want. They can garnish his pay now. They can clean out any money he's got in the bank. So he's got to now take drastic steps to stop that from happening. So he files court documents and says, look, it's not my name on the birth certificate. It's nothing to do with me. I last met this woman at this time, and here's the birth date, I'm told, is years later, so it couldn't possibly be me. So there's no evidence to say that I am the biological parent here. So on what basis are you taking the child support? Well, she alleges you are. She says you are. And she signed a declaration to that effect. And so as far as we're concerned, that's it. There's no evidence needed. So again, he tries to point out, well, it couldn't possibly be me because this is, well, you have to now prove everything to the most exacting burden of proof. She just has to sign a declaration and that's it. You're liable to the tune of tens of thousands of dollars and thousands of dollars every month from now on. So that's what she just has to sign. That's it. That's it. She needed nothing more. Now the government and all its apparatchiks and lawyers and all the clerks and bureaucrats, the machinery just runs on. And so he spends 8 years for fuck's sake, finally proving, going through numerous court cases, numerous court hearings, and they're constantly trying to fob him. Oh, there's not really enough evidence that the so-called judge in a social equity court, we'll have to postpone it now for another 6 months. Oh, she says she's not ready. It has to be another 6 months. So the delays and the whole sort of thing. Anyway, it costs him, he ends up in lost income and medical bills from the stress and legal fees and court filing fees. It costs him almost $1 million before he wins. And he finally wins. And based on the evidence that he declared at the outset that it couldn't possibly have been him. But it's interesting. He recorded the conversations that he had with the various officers in the alimony child support, and their attitude. And you hear them just talking. They're not very bright people, but they're certainly very dedicated social equity activists. And the attitude is he has no rights. He's a straight white male. He's from the privileged class. He's got social power. He's probably Hitler or a close approximation of it. And it's all ideological. So they talk in just ideological sort of talking points. The facts really don't matter. And the sort of thing, the sort of conversation, and again, he's recorded this, where they go, oh, well, hey, maybe you're not got anything to do with this, and maybe you don't, but it's still going to be easier if you just pay us the money we want. I mean, we can make your life pretty miserable. Why don't you just pay us the money and be a lot less stressful for you? And then he says, but I'm not the biological parent here. You should go and chase the person who is. Well, you want us to go to all that work? I mean, don't you care about this kid? Don't you want the best for him? Why don't you just pay? Come on, just pay it, and we can all go home. Why are you being difficult? What's your problem? I mean, do you have a problem with this? I mean, don't you want children to be looked after? And this is very much the angle they took. They tried to blame and shame. They try to morally sort of come at him from the, hey, you got a good job on good money. Why can't you give a little bit of away? What's your problem with that? And that was constantly the refrain or approximation of that they employed in trying to hustle him and heavy him into paying. In the end, he went, but it took him 8 years. 8 years it took him. And if he wants to get any of that money back, the government isn't interested. They don't care. There's no one helping him. There's no government agency with lots of ideological fanatics that are going to help him get the money back. And given that the declaration the woman signs is blatantly false, perjury. It's perjury in a court, because it's a court documents used in evidence. But no one's interested in penalising her for that. Oh, well, hey, why not? He had a good job on good pay. So it seems like they went, a bit like activists go court shopping in the US. So they want to go to the Ninth Circuit Court because they're likely to get a bunch of leftist activists sympathetic to their causes. It's the same sort of conceptually, the same sort of thing. They've got maybe half a dozen possibles in front of them of who might be the biological parent. She's come up with some names, and they look at, well, this guy, gee whiz, he's got a good job and good pay. He's never been out of work. Wow, we can milk him for some money. Let's say it's him. It'll take him years to prove it isn't in court. And meanwhile, you could have screwed him for $50,000. I mean, what's wrong with that? That seems like, and a lot of people go, well, no, that's terrible. Why would you want to screw a guy who's not culpable or liable or something? That's terrible. Why would you even propose that? But a lot of people go, $50,000. Hey, baby, go for it. And they'll be encouraged to do that by these activists and activist lawyers and gender studies hacks and goons and stooges that'll push it. But I just wanted to sort of get that's the sort of thing that's going on now. Maybe they're going on every day, everywhere, but that's the sort of thing that's going on. That's the standard of law that I think will be all, unless something happens to stop it, will be all over the Western world in 20 years. So, in the years to come, if there's anyone like a Kyle Rittenhouse or something like that, then they'll just drag him into one of these social equity courts. No, you're damn right. That's it. Your history, buddy. And I think we're not too far away from it now. It's already in certain areas of law. This sort of equity justice thing, and look at the United States Supreme Court, for goodness sakes, the recent appointment there. If you've got any doubt as to where it's going, just look at that. So I just wanted to cover that quickly and make a point of once we allow the law to become some sort of social ideological plaything, social equity plaything, then we all of us will suffer in the end, because we'll all lose confidence in it. It'll be just some crazy anarchic free-for-all, and who wants that, really? You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.